Hey everyone, welcome back to the Above the Yellow Line live stream. Back at it on a Thursday night after our week off, or I guess a few weeks off for the NASCAR break. But of course, joined by Dom Joseph coming at you with the live. So, Dom, how are you? Doing
Good to
good?
be back. Yeah, good to
Yeah.
be back. It's a good month in Ohio, but back to old North Carolina and being welcomed back by Hurricane Debbie herself as well.
Yeah, just PSA there if you are going to be impacted by that. Please stay safe. Please don't travel if you don't have to. If you're going to be traveling, use extra precaution. Uh, I would assume we're going to be okay for this stream, but if at any
Oh yeah.
point power, whatever, craps out, that's why. But we should be okay, fingers crossed. But wishing everyone the best. Also, if in case you don't know and haven't followed me on social media, the set's different. So I have a whole walkthrough on my socials, everything in between. So yeah, a lot of different. I think to start, even like your background's different too. So
Yes. Yeah. I've made adjustments.
yeah,
Ever since I moved to this new apartment, I haven't been able to find something good, but we're on to something now. I
yeah. I was
think
gonna
this is the
say
permanent setup now.
no. It looks good. It looks good. So there you go.
Well,
We're
thank you.
learning. We're evolving. We're decorating. It's great. Good to see everyone in the chat. If you have a question for Connor, we'll answer some of those at the end of our interview with him. Just use the hashtag #AskConnor, just so I make sure I can see it in the chat. But just kind of a run through of the show. You all know we have a very special guest on the show, so we'll get to that in just a moment. But after that, we'll talk about some NASCAR news, hear some NASCAR opinions, and then, of course, preview Richmond NASCAR's return after the Olympic break. Also, the Olympics were so fun to watch, too. It was a nice way to kind of fill the gap between not having like our favorite sport. So loved it. What I don't know, did you watch any of the Olympics at all?
Yeah, this is definitely a justified break for us.
Yeah,
It's
for
like
sure.
partly it's like, okay, yeah, I get it. NBC has it and they don't want to interfere with that. That's their big money, but still it's so much fun to watch.
Yeah,
Love the gymnastics team. Love the
they killed
basketball
it.
team. Love the swimming. Yeah, can't get enough of it.
Yeah. Oh, so in love with the Olympics. This year was really fun to watch, and I think I actually appreciated it more this year than anything. And also, shout out to Ryan DaCosta. We had him on the show back in December, I believe, or somewhere around then. He runs the social pages for like the Olympics, NASCAR on NBC, and he's been killing it. So shout out to him and all he's been doing, and that whole team. The whole social coverage has been awesome there. But with that said, you all know Connor Zilisch. He's one of the biggest talents rising through the motorsports ranks. And I'm not just saying that. If you just look at his stats this year alone, it speaks for itself. Rolex 24 winner, then went on to win Sebring. ARCA wins, a Cars Tour win. It's been an insane year for him. And of course, he just announced that he will be joining Junior Motorsports in 2025 for a full-time ride in the number 88. We have a lot to talk about with him. So let's bring him on the show to kind of share a little bit about his journey and what he's got going on next year. Hey,
How
There
are
he
we
is.
doing? It's good to be here, guys. Thank you for having me.
of course. Good to have you. Awesome. I will say, I have to say, this has been a dream year for you. Just right off the bat, I want to start off with the Rolex 24 in January. The emotions around that, I would assume, were just insane. What was that moment like for you? And just how quickly did the opportunities kind of stack up after that?
Yeah, it's hard to put it into words, in the moment how it felt. I never really thought that a race could do that for me. And when I was kind of there and had the thought of, oh, I could win this race and that could be possible. I'd never really thought that A, it would come true, and B, if it came true, it would feel as good as it did. It blew my expectations out of the water. So, yeah, it was beyond surreal, and I, like I said, I can't even put into words what it felt like. So, to win that race at such a young age, I grew up watching it. I was a spectator there when I was growing up, and got to enjoy it as a kid, and then to A, race in it, and B, get the chance to win it. It was pretty crazy. So, yeah, it's definitely changed the kind of trajectory of my year. It's been kind of set the tone for the season. It's hard to one up that kind of win. So I've been trying my best to win as much as I can after that, but none of them have compared to that one.
With the
Yeah, go
Rolex
ahead, Taylor.
24, I am so curious about this too. You didn't finish out that race. Christian Rasmussen did. But for the 12 hours of Sebring, you finished that race and got the car across that start finish line. What was more nerve wracking for you, waiting for the win or being the one to get the win at Sebring?
nerve wise, it was for sure sitting in the pit box because, I trusted Christian, and Christian's a complete badass of a driver, and he's really
100%.
good. And, I had a lot of faith in him. But, sitting there and, this guy's in your car, driving your car. And if he wins, you get a Rolex. And if he doesn't, you don't. And it's kind of just hard to accept that fact that I have no control. Once I hand the car off for my second to last, or my final stint, I was the second to last driver. It was out of my hands. And, I gave the car off in the lead, and did everything I could. But at the same time, it's out of your control, and it's so tough to accept that. But Sebring was less nerve wracking, but more stressful, I think, because everything was in my hands, right? So you have total control, and you're the one bringing it across the line, and you're the one that's got to, get the win for your team. So both of them were definitely nerve wracking in their own ways. But I think I was on stream at the 24 with, 20 minutes ago or something. I couldn't even watch the race. I had to walk out of the pit box and go for a little stroll because I was so nervous. Especially I think because it was my first race in IMSA and the WeatherTech series. And it was a first for me, a first for a lot of things for me. So yeah, it was a unique feeling, when he finally crossed the line, and we won that race.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'll say the one thing about when you're ARCA racing, you lock in for that race, you run the race, race is over, you get out of the car. But for IMSA, you lock in, get in the car, do your stint, get out, and then have to lock in again when it's your turn again. How difficult is that to just go back and forth, trading the car back and forth?
Yeah, the hardest thing for me actually is to wind down after I get out of the car, right? For a 24-hour race, you got to be awake for so long, and you want to try and get some rest and get some sleep in. And getting out of the car and having to go straight to a motorhome, and they're trying to put you to bed. It's like, I don't want to go to bed. First of all, my car is on the track and I want to see what's going on. And second of all, I just got done driving a race car at 200 miles an hour. It's like, it's hard to get your heart to slow back down after you've been out there for so long. And it's that's the toughest part for me in endurance racing. But the sprint racing stuff I do, I don't want to call it sprint racing, but the NASCAR and, the single driver series that I do, it's just more high pace. Everything's happening quicker. The endurance racing, you in a 24-hour race, the first 18 hours don't really matter as long as you stay on the lead lap. So, you kind of just got to get your car through and get to the end of the race. But it's still, at the end of the day, racing a car with four wheels, and you got to go out and do your job when it's time to do your job.
You mentioned, just kind of, the tracks that you've been able to go to, and growing up, you raced in karts. You raced in karts for like 10 years, correct?
Yeah, a long time.
Okay, how did
Yeah.
that help kind of format where you wanted to go with your career, and what was that decision like, choosing between NASCAR or maybe like a Formula One path, maybe?
Yeah, the biggest deciding factor for me, going from NASCAR to, Formula Series or IndyCar, whatever it may have been, was honestly the influence from outside people. I met Kevin Harvick in 2020 when I was teammates with Keelan Harvick in a go-kart. And, Kevin, obviously super successful in NASCAR. And, he kind of guided me and helped me for a year or two, and got me some opportunities in stock cars. And that kind of, it's hard to turn down those kinds of opportunities that I was getting at such a young age. And I wasn't getting those opportunities in open wheel. And every team I'd try and race for wanted a paycheck, and my dad didn't want to do that. So it's just a matter of what was the opportunity for me, and at that time, that's all I had.
Well, it's easy to say that the talent is showing off when you get in any kind of race car, but like you're good on ovals, you're good on road courses. So how have you like can you talk us through the work you put in to be good on any sort of track layout?
Yeah, it takes a lot, and it's hard for me this year, or harder. It's not hard, but it's harder for me this year because I'm racing in so many different cars and so many different kinds of racetracks and so many different disciplines. And as a race car driver, you want to be able to put all your focus in one series and be able to, put all your eggs in one basket. And I can't do that this year as much as I want to. I still feel like I do a good job doing what I can with the time that I have, but it's hard when you're bouncing back and forth in so many different series, and you have to kind of adjust to every car you're driving. But still, so much prep work, and especially for all the NASCAR races I do, the amount of preparation I get, the sim time, everything that is involved with those is so much different. And another unique thing about NASCAR is you can't go testing. So for all the IMSA races I go to, we show up to the track, 2 months before the race, and we do 2 or 3 days of testing, and that kind of prepares me for it. I don't have to do the same amount of work that I do in NASCAR stuff, where I only have 20 minutes of practice. So it's they all have their own unique differences, and um, you can prepare for different races differently, and I've kind of learned that as the years gone on.
How has, being a track house development driver helped you in the preparation process? I know you mentioned sim racing, but what else are you doing? And I would also assume, having a driver like SVG that's also part of track house too, that's going from road courses all the time to now just ovals with racing in NASCAR, has also maybe been beneficial for you to watch, or at least have somebody to kind of model that path off of. What's that process been like working with these other drivers, and even to just being with Trackhouse to help you through your career?
Yeah, it's been super valuable for me. Not only because I'm teammates with all the drivers at Trackhouse with Zane, Shane, Ross, and Daniel. I can bounce ideas off of all them, and they're super open to helping me, which is cool because some guys at the highest level may not make time for a kid racing in ARCA or a kid racing in trucks, and they make sure they do, and that's something that I can appreciate and be thankful for, because I wouldn't have that kind of shoulder to lean on if I wasn't with Trackhouse. So today I was with Ross, and in the gym, and we were working out together at 7 a.m. in the morning, and just chatting and talking, and it's cool to have someone like that where you can always go to and always talk to. And there's a lot of guys that I lean on, and outside of Trackhouse as well, for advice. And that's really important, is to ask the people who know and have been through the things that you're going to go through, what mistakes they made and what you can learn from out of them. So yeah, it's definitely a little bit unique having the Trackhouse relationship and having all those teammates, but there's so many people that I feel like I trust and I can lean on to get advice.
So I guess we can transition into the big news now.
The elephant in the room.
I think, has it sunk in yet? Like, this car right behind me, this '88 car, like, that's yours next year. Has it sunk in yet that you've got that car for next year?
Yeah, one thing that's funny that I don't think people realize is, I feel like I've known this for 3, 4 months, and I've kind of just been sitting on it, waiting, and then it gets announced to the world, and now everybody knows. But for me, it's like I've known this for 3 or 4 months. But no, honestly, at the same time, the prestige of the number 88 in NASCAR, and filling the shoes that I'm ready to fill is, it's a big task. And I won't lie, there's pressure, and there's expectations for me as well, and expectations that I'm gonna have to try and live up to. But at the end of the day, I'm racing for myself. I want to go out and compete, and fulfill my own goals, and make sure that I'm moving in the right direction, getting better every race, and just try to do what I need to do to be the best race car driver I can be. And it's tough when people are saying a lot of good things about me, and then maybe I go out and I don't run as well, and people's minds shift. So that's kind of why you just have to focus on what you're doing, and not let the outside noise kind of deter you from your path.
You mentioned you've known this news, or you feel like you've known this news for like 3 months now, and now that it's out to the world, it's a big deal, and you talk about maybe the pressure. Why, even just too curious about the timing of the announcement, knowing you have like 15 NASCAR event races coming up later this year, why was it beneficial to announce this now as opposed to maybe later in the year? What was the thought process behind that?
Um, I think that Justin and everyone at Trackhouse wants to, start working on sponsors and start working on planning for next year. And it's kind of harder to do that when you haven't really announced what you're doing next year. So I think it's valuable for everybody, right? I don't think there's any reason not to announce it. It's not going to change anything for anyone else or any other drivers at Trackhouse. And there was no kind of factor that, was holding us back. So I think I'm the first NASCAR driver in Xfinity to announce a full-time ride for next year, which is cool because it's good to have that security, and know that, I know what I'm doing next year, no matter how I run in the races this year. And it's good for a race car driver to have that. And that'll allow me to go out in these 4 races that I'm doing with Junior Motorsports this year, and perform at my own pace, and not feel rushed to go out and try and win the race. So It's all beneficial to me, and it's gonna help me. It's gonna help them sell sponsors. It's gonna, it's there's a lot of benefits and not a lot of downside to it.
Love it. Perfect.
Yeah, you kind of answered my question before about expectation and pressure. Like, you know who the alumni of Junior Motorsports are. You know that they have incredible, incredible drivers that have come through there. But how do you handle the pressure of being with a team that, if you're good there, you've got a good chance of being a long tenured driver in Cup?
Yeah, it's tough for me, someone my age. I think people sometimes may forget that I'm only 18, just turned 18, and
That's
the
crazy.
youngest driver in the Cup Series is Ty Gibbs at 21, and if I were to get into Cup at 21, that mean I would do 3 years of Xfinity full time. So for me, the pressure isn't really in going out and performing, and I don't really put pressure on myself because I know that Justin and Ty Norris and everyone at Trackhouse believes in me and has faith in what I can do. So it's more so just going to be taking my time getting up to speed and not making mistakes that are going to make me look like a goof, because I am young, and I don't want to be the young guy that goes out and wrecks cars. And it's just going to be important to go at my own pace and not really listen or pay attention to the pressure and expectations that people set on me.
Yeah, I mean, just it's so important to just kind of keep your head down, trust the people around you, and work. And speaking of that relationship with Trackhouse and Justin Marks, I don't know. I mean, this year you're doing so much. I mean, we've talked about this, but even too, I don't know if you've thought about next year if you and Justin have kind of sat down and talked like, hey, here's the other series, maybe outside of Xfinity, that I want to focus on this year, or in an ideal world, if there's another series outside of Xfinity that you also want to race in, if you've talked about that yet.
We Not really. I've talked about, wanting to run the 24 Hours of Daytona, and I'm trying to push him and to trying to run a team with, me and my teammates at Trackhouse. I feel like that'd be really cool.
That'd be
That would be
awesome.
And
awesome.
obviously he's got a love for sports car racing because he's done it in the past. So, that is one thing I've tried to get into his brain, but I don't know how much he's going to listen to me on that one. Even though it would be really cool. But there are other series that I still want to go and race in when I have off weekends. If I have the chance to go run IMSA, I want to do that. And, I still want to keep my schedule as diverse as I can, even though I'm running a full time series in Xfinity. I still think that getting out and running other things and just kind of testing myself and keeping myself honest is important for, my development. I'm still so young. I have no reason to stop racing in other series at this point in my career.
And you running the ARCA Menard series this year, it unfortunately at times gets forgotten about that ARCA runs on the race weekends. But how beneficial has that series been for you? What has that car taught you about racing on ovals?
Yeah, it's been super, super good for me. It's the closest thing that I've driven to a, Xfinity car or a truck with the weight and the power and everything. So just getting those reps and not feeling like I'm on a big stage. Obviously, the races are televised and people can watch them, but I don't really feel like I have a ton of pressure to perform. And even though I'm leading the championship, I've had a lot of success. I think that's part of the reason is because I don't feel like I have to go out and force myself to win. I don't have to make mistakes that are going to, maybe get me wrecked or something. So I can just go out and take the races at my own pace. And that's really valuable for me and in my learning processes because, I can just go out and take my time and do what I need to do. So yeah, it's been super valuable to get those reps and as many reps as I can get. I want to run more ARCA races next year when I can, just because the more laps I can run, the better. So it's been good for me, and I hope that I can continue to do it, into next year.
Awesome. I have some questions from the chat that I wanted to bring up. Adam said, "How did you become a Florida Gators fan?" I'm curious about this.
Both my parents. So my mom was a gymnast at Florida, and my dad is a Florida alumni as well. So both
Oh,
my parents
nice.
went there, and I kind of, from a young age, my dad still has season tickets to Florida Gator games, and I'm actually going to go to one after Phoenix. So yeah,
Nice.
I've been a long time Gator fan.
Okay, I got to know what your favorite memory is at that stadium, because there have been some really good games there in the past.
Yeah,
Oh
actually, I
gosh.
was last year. We went to the Florida Tennessee game, and we were like big underdogs. And actually,
Whoa.
Tennessee probably like 6 or 7 years ago. But the last 2 times we played Tennessee and won big kind of underdog games, I was there at those. So last year was really cool. That's kind of the first one I can remember, I guess, that was a positive memory. Because a lot of the times I've been to the games, it hasn't been very positive. So last year was electric. It was the loudest football game I've ever been to.
That's awesome.
Let's see. From Michael, is there anything you do to get your mind ready for a race?
I don't really have a routine. I do like to kind of sit in the car and have no outside noise before we get the command. I just want to sit in the car and take a minute to myself and kind of just relax because you're on pit road and you're getting ready for the race and people are walking up to you talking to you and you want to have a little bit of time to kind of disconnect and get in the car and get ready. So that's the only thing that I really make sure that I try and sneak in before the race starts. But I don't really have a real kind of plan for a race that I follow.
Rest and relaxation and just clearing your mind. That's all you need,
100%.
honestly. Last question from the chat, then I have one. Well, Dom and I came up with this together, but last question. I don't know if you've already asked this, but what are your favorite ovals that you've raced so far in your career?
I've only been to a few big tracks and I like the big tracks better than the short tracks. But I'd say my favorite so far would be Dover. It's just so high speed,
Dover.
high bank, concrete, so much grip. That place is really cool, and I'm excited to go back there in the Xfinity car next year.
That's like one of the coolest trophies, also with miles.
Yeah,
So that'd be cool.
That's the only trophy I have in my room, actually. So obviously it's important to me.
Is it true that when you're going into a turn, it drops down like you're in a roller coaster and like your stomach goes up in your chest?
Yeah, when you first dive off into the corner and you kind of drop before you go back up into the banking. You do get a little bit of a sensation of that, and it's like light the car. You kind of want to get it in straight because the car is light. So it's a super unique racetrack. That it was really cool to win there.
That's awesome.
See, now I want to do a lap at Dover. But of all tracks in the world, not even counting the ones that you've been at, this is the question I wanted to ask. If you could race, what, Don, did you say any car, any track in the world, what would you choose?
I mean, I have a race on my bucket list that I want to get to. I want to race the 24-hour Le Mans, and to do that in a hypercar would be so cool. So if I were to say one race that I want to do, and I could pick a car and a track, but Le Mans is one place that I want to get to before my career is over. Just because I've already won Daytona, I've won Sebring, I want to get to Le Mans and run that one too. I've heard so many good things about it, and it's just such a unique racetrack with how long it is, and all the race procedures for the 24 Hours Le Mans. That's definitely top of my list.
So we got to put that into the universe so it happens.
Exactly.
Well, Connor, thanks so much for joining us. I put Connor's social media in the description below, but we appreciate your time and we wish you the best the rest of the year.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thanks for letting me come on here. Hope you guys have a good rest of your day.
Thanks, you too.
Yep, stay safe with the hurricane too.
Thank you, you as well.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Awesome. Well, that was Connor Zilisch. Everyone, again, make sure to follow him. His socials are linked in the description, and we wish him the best the rest of this year.
For a long, long time.
Yeah, for real. Truly, he's so cool. And then I watched him the first MX-5 Mazda Cup, or the Mazda MX-5 race I watched was at Mid-Ohio, and I was like, oh my god, I totally forgot Connor was going to race in this, so I saw him win, and I was like, this is just so cool. Like, literally, so talented. Such a cool guest to have on, so very excited about that. Cool. So it's time we bring in the crew, and we get to business, and we talk.
Bring
in the crew. Let me hold on. Okay, let me change the screen. You all know I'm great at technology. We love this. All right, let's see. Oh, Rob, your screen.
Oh,
yeah, I know.
Mini Rob.
He's returned.
I know. I don't know what to do with it now.
It's okay.
We shall love you how you are.
It just happens now. It's a shame, but like you know
what? That's okay.
You know it's me.
Hello, normal Ben.
Hello.
Hello, regular size Ben.
Oh my goodness. So, getting caught up. How was everyone's off weeks? Good. Rob, I know you got some new die cast. Pretty exciting during the off week.
I got some good ones. The one that'll unfortunately piss off the group the most is I found You can't see it, so I'm gonna grab it real quick. Give me 1 second.
Okay, 1 second.
1,000.
How are you?
The second is up. Oh, he's got to find it first.
Oh boy.
Here
All
we
right,
go.
so
Show and tell.
I got Ryan Blaney's
hate
first.
you for this.
Yeah, the
So
thing
much.
is when I sent this in the group chat, I didn't tell you guys how much it was. I got this for $10.
Nice.
Shut up!
You just
I'm
committed highway robbery.
I am so mad.
I could tell the guy right afterwards was like, "Wait."
Oh
It's like,
my God.
you already said it, my guy.
$10?
Yeah, I'm just as shocked as you are. But that is
Oh my God.
that is why it is great to shop for diecasts in New England, because everybody wants to get rid of them, and
Nobody knows the value.
well, they even if they do, they don't really care because they just want to get rid of it.
That is funny.
You gotta go to the sketchiest looking flea markets.
So sad.
Like just
That's
There's liquid
These
gold in there.
the
Pretty much.
sketchiest looking ones always have the best stuff.
oh my God,
Anyway, so that was my big find.
man.
But enough about that. How
One
is
day
how
I'll
is
find
everybody here?
We're doing good. We're doing good. Ready to get into some NASCAR news?
Yes.
Sure.
Cool. I'm so afraid my camera is gonna like pick up. I'm giving the thumbs up, and then it's gonna have like the like the whole update thing.
Playing a
Yeah.
dangerous game.
Yeah, just like ugh. All right. So first piece of news that we got, Travis Peterson is following Michael McDowell to Spire in the number 71 in 2025. They've been together for the past 2 seasons. They were together for the Indy Road Course win. Solid move. I don't know if there's much to say about this, but I don't know if anyone had anything to chime in. Just it is what it is. We could also throw into it who his teammate's going to be. That's another silly season speculation, but I digress.
That's gonna be. I'm really interested to see that established partnership
Yeah.
with a team that's shown that they can be competitive when the right drivers are behind the wheel. Like,
Yeah.
this is my way too early 2025 prediction, but I think it's very likely that 71 car could be a top 20 in points.
I'm writing this down. We're writing this down.
All right, right, but
Yeah,
put it in.
We're already writing
Put it
these
in the
down.
notes. Put it in the notes. Put it in the notes.
Yeah. NASCAR predictions. Yeah, our predictions so far this year we're almost 50-50 with hits or misses. Maybe a little more on this
Speak for
side.
yourself.
All I'm gonna say
yeah,
is
you're doing well.
I'm not doing great.
all I'm gonna say is my Stewart Haas picks are right on the money.
What did I say?
I was a little too right
Yeah.
with Stewart Haas.
You were extra correct.
Yeah.
I got some extra credit off that one. Yeah. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for that to happen.
That's okay. We all were heated in the moment with Stewart Haas racing in their future, and you know what? That's okay. But here we are. I'm writing this down as we speak. Cool. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see who they pair with Rodney Childers in the number 7. We've talked about this before, but you wonder. I mean, they're looking for drivers right now that could make them a winning team. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. Let's see. Rob, you said top 20 in points for that?
I said top 20 in points, and I'm going to stand by that.
Okay, cemented in stone. We're there. Cool. Okay, now I have to find my notes again, but that's fine. So I guess moving on. Again, these are like more short tidbits of news. As you know, off weeks, not a whole lot came out. Oh, this is a big one we can talk about for a bit. Hello, Juan Pablo Montoya. He's going to be racing at the Glen for 2011.
Yes.
So excited about this.
Yeah, that's gonna be a good one. I'm pumped for that one.
I am so excited, and a former winner at Watkins Glen in a cup car. So you know he's gonna. I hope he's competitive. It's not like he's coming out of retirement, because
right.
Like it's just semi-retirement from NASCAR, not retirement from motorsports, because the dude still drives everything. So I think he's a great, perfect fit in that car. And all the jet jar jokes are very funny and very original. And I appreciate the people that only know about NASCAR really outing themselves. Thanks for doing that.
I'm glad I've been watching a lot of old F1 stuff, just wanting to see what it was before it became what it is now, and like realizing when Schumacher was dominating with Ferrari, Montoya gave him everything he could handle. It's like he was very, very good in F1. I thought he just did a stint in F1. I didn't realize how good he was in F1. And then obviously won the Indy 500, did an F1 career, did a NASCAR career, and then came back and won Indy again. I mean, that's all
And
you
then
need to know about Montoya.
should have won a championship that year.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's all you need to know about Montoya. He is a legend in racing.
One of the best drivers in diversity. I can't say words.
RJ.
One of the best drivers in motorsports when it comes to being competitive in diverse equipment.
Yeah, anything
100%.
he gets in.
He's very adaptable, I guess is the word I would
absolutely.
use.
And like you can say he didn't have an oval win, but there are plenty of races on ovals that he should have won.
100%.
I'll never forget 2009 Indy.
That is one I did not watch.
Over 2013, Richmond 2013.
Yeah,
Won both of those.
yeah, for sure.
Man, Dom, you get to be there in person for when he races, correct? I'm so
I will be there.
jealous.
I'm still trying.
I will be there.
If there are any teams watching that want to hire a photographer, hit me up.
Yeah, reach out to Rob. I stand by this. We have one of the most talented crews in all of motorsports media. Hire them. Hire all of us. Okay. So there's that news. That's pretty exciting. I was going to mention, well, I'll mention this in the Richmond preview. I guess I'll mention it now since I brought it up. But the Coca-Cola scheme for Chase Elliott, not necessarily news. I just thought it was really cool to see a Coca-Cola primary for Hendrick. Pretty fun. How do we like it compared to Denny's Coca-Cola primary?
Denny's is way better.
Okay,
Denny's
I'm glad we're on the same page. Good.
Leaps and bounds better. The black number just seems out of place.
It does.
To me.
It's weird.
And I think just the way they placed Denny's number within the scheme worked better. They more just kind of embedded it, whereas it looks like they just took the 9 and slapped it on the door.
That's what I'm like, ugh.
Which my guess is that's a team brand guidelines thing.
100%.
And that's just something that happens. But it looks good. If I'm not mistaken, it's basically what Denny's car was, and I think it just looks better on a Toyota anyway.
100%.
But yeah, it's any bright red car I enjoy.
Yeah,
totally fine. Cool. I don't know. I guess that's kind of it news wise. Is there anything else we wanted to mention, talk about, discuss? I don't know.
Phillies are really good.
Phillies are good.
Greg
Biffle's back.
Biffle is back. That's true.
Yes, Greg Biffle's back.
Wait, what did I miss?
Did you not see this? Yeah, no, Greg
Biffle's
Biffle's back. He's running the ARCA West race at Tri-City Raceway this weekend.
I
Former
missed
track champion
that
at Tri-City.
completely. Well, that's exciting. Okay, wow, look at me.
So
I'm totally
he'll
out
be
of
back driving the 23 for Joe Fair, who's currently also helping with the rebuilding of the Francis Scott Key Bridge, ironically.
Okay.
Apparently his company does that.
Maryland mentioned.
Yeah, we got a Maryland mentioned in there, but apparently his company does like construction work, but he's helping with that. So Greg's in the car this weekend. That's a car that won at Sonoma with Sam Mayer behind the wheel. So that's pretty cool. So Biffle will be back there, other than just the regular ARCA regulars. I think he won the track championship in the 2000s. Or no, not 2000s. It'd be the 90s. But yeah, check that out. 10:30 on Friday night or whatever. Or Saturday night, excuse me.
Also, I feel like we should draw attention to the ARCA race this past weekend. It was so good. It was a crazy race.
I didn't watch it live, but it looked awesome.
I didn't watch it either, but
it was so good.
I hear they're renaming Elko the Thunderdome.
The photos are so cool.
We're also gearing up for another great NASCAR Modified Tour Championship. Right now, the top two are separated by 1 point.
That's incredible.
The top four are separated by less than 40 points. And just a little bit of a note: the top four are all on brand clients. So The chances of an on-brand NASCAR Modified Tour Championship for the second year in a row, the chances are looking pretty strong. I'm not going to say it was all because of me, mostly because it was not all because of me. Mostly because I did nothing. But it's cool.
You're just a good businessman.
Yeah.
I just hopped on a partnership with a great PR rep. So that. I was about to say Justin Beers. Austin Beers finally won this year. This weekend. He has figured out Lancaster. That looks like such a cool track, Ben. I'm super jealous that you got to go. Yeah, it's gonna be a great championship battle, and I am more than excited. I'm hoping. I know I have one of those races still on my schedule at Monadnock in September, but I'm hoping maybe by some grace of God I can add another race or two. If I got to Martinsville, that would be prime, but I don't see the chances of that happening are very slim.
Someone in chat started GoFundMe to get Rob to Martinsville.
Yeah, start a GoFundMe. Maybe you should probably.
Or somebody just don't even start a GoFundMe. Just somebody hire me.
That too.
It's this simple, gang.
Yeah. I got the Martinsville race though. Is that the same weekend as the?
It's the weekend before.
A weekend before. Oh, dang it. Okay.
Yeah, well, it's the weekend before, which is really, really weird.
Yeah.
And it is a terrible, scheduling on somebody's part, because it ruins the, it ruins the ability for fans to come see the modifieds because they're already there to see the rest of the cars. But I mean, it's fine. Mazda's
I was gonna say the Mazda's
gonna team up with them. But I was talking to Noah Watts. If you guys know Noah Watts, he's one of the photographers for
awesome.
For Trackhouse and a bunch of other teams. One of the best guys out there, both talent wise and just a fantastic person. But he and I were talking because he's from up here in the Northeast, so he's big on the modifieds because that's where he came from. And we were talking about the fact that what somebody should do just to give exposure to the modifieds, because I mean, I think the fact that we just had Connor Zilisch on, he's doing so much for ARCA that nobody's really doing for the modifieds. And now this is such a huge leap from where they are right now, but we were talking that Kyle Larson should attempt all 5 races that are going to be held at Martinsville over those 2 weeks. So run the Modified Tour, run Mazda, run the Truck Series, run Xfinity, run Cup. Because you can market it the Larson 5.
Well, he can't run Xfinity or Truck because of playoffs.
Right.
Yeah, that's the thing.
These rules, man.
Ruined your market.
All right, never mind. Oh. I mean, it wasn't going to happen.
You can blame Kyle Busch for that one.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't going to happen anyway.
Well, here's the thing, though. Like, I mean, Justin Bonsignore, he raced for Joe Gibbs.
Yeah.
I mean, they're trying, right?
Yeah. I mean, but the problem is it's a one-off. So that day, everybody's like, so many people that were watching that on TV are like, who is Justin Bonsignore? Meanwhile, who is Justin Bonsignore? He's just the guy that stepped out of victory lane to hop in that 19 car for the first time because they didn't get practice and they didn't get qualifying in the day before. So he hops in that car for the first time and runs top 5 all day. Like,
killed it. It's so good.
It was a great example of how great the modified tour is, and unfortunately, this is a week by week sport. So everybody forgot about it.
Someone brought up this piece of news that I did have written down, but I totally just glossed over it, so I apologize. Shane Van Gisbergen has a new crew chief. So Bruce Schlicker, I believe I'm pronouncing the last name right. Yes? Yeah. Current crew chief for SVG parts ways with colleague. Kevin Walter will take over the remainder of the season. And I guess this came as a kind of a surprise. I mean, I was kind of surprised by it just because they had won, the 3 races that SVG's won this year.
Well, I think the main reason why, from what
But-
I've heard, is because SVG's been making all the calls.
That's fair. That's fair.
So if you're a crew chief who is very adamant on, I know what I'm doing, let me do what I need to do, and SVG is making all the calls, that ain't going to work.
That's fair.
Regardless if you're
Unfortunately.
So,
I mean, it's great that he came off of a run at Indy. He ran top 5, right? I mean, he finished in the top 5. So, I mean, that's good. But yeah, I mean, so making some changes. And then Walter, he'd previously been crew chief to Josh Williams. So now Josh Williams is going to have a new crew chief. So they were just kind of swapping before a really important time of the season, which if you want to make your changes, I guess do it now as opposed to when the playoffs start, fine. But it's interesting.
It makes a lot of sense though to
With Josh Williams.
not give Shane the green crew chief.
Yeah.
Because he's already in the playoffs. Like,
Right.
Don't take that team off their game while they're hot. That 11 car, you know, they're
You need to try something different.
They're trying, but it's a great opportunity to throw something at the wall and hope it sticks.
100%.
So I think that was a good move.
Yeah, and speaking of crew chiefs, Christopher Bell has a new one too because Adam Stevens is out.
Yeah, Adam Stevens, he will not be at the track this weekend or the next few weeks due to a double knee injury. Chris Sherwood, car chief for Christopher Bell, will take over as crew chief for the rest of the few weeks while Adam Stevens recovers and stays in the war room for the next few
hear about
races.
that.
Yeah. These are the things during the off week that just kind of fall through the cracks, you know?
Get well soon, man. Like,
yeah.
Coming up on a good track for Bell too. So
yeah.
And that's the beauty though, being locked into the playoffs and as comfortably as he is with 3 wins on the year. So take the benefit of the doubt. This is perfect time to get some rest and recovery in if you have an issue.
So what happens when we don't race for 2 weeks? I forgot that Bell has 3 wins this year, and I was there for 2 of them.
It's kind of just gone on. He's one of the drivers that always is either underestimated or just kind of flies under the radar.
He was my championship pick.
That is true. And he probably could have done it if it weren't for the brake rotor, right? Yeah.
Oh no, he was my championship pick this year.
Oh, this year. Oh. He could do it.
Because if I remember correctly, I think Dom and I have the same championship for.
I think so. I don't remember.
I don't think I have this written down. Maybe I do. I don't know. Did we? We'll find it later. But yeah, I mean, don't worry about it now. So yeah, lots happening. We actually before we preview Richmond, and then we want to talk about like the weekend schedule. Obviously, Hurricane Debbie is making her way through. So we'll talk about if the schedule was impacted, not tire options, etc. But let's look real quick at the point situation. You know, I love my slideshow. Oh yeah, by the way, this is where we're at with
this is just insulting at this point.
with the ATYL Points Championship. So the only ones eligible for a championship at this point are Adam, myself, and Ben. And Adam, with one hell of a comeback, he was like last in points, and now he's first by
all of his wins.
He's picked Denny almost every time, and it's helped him. And honestly, Adam's also done really well outside of picking Denny Hamlin too, but he's just killed it every week. So this is where we're at right now. But the one thing I wanted to focus on in particular before we preview Richmond, as we go into the second half of the season, where we are at in the playoffs. We have 4 tracks left before we go into the playoffs. It is Richmond, Michigan, Daytona, and Darlington. And if you look at the drivers around that cutoff line, there's some I'm very concerned about, and there's some where I'm like, they've got this in the bag. I mean, I'll just start off and say I think Chris Buescher with these tracks should be okay. Martin Truex Jr. should be okay. I have some concerned drivers around there, but I also don't want to just keep talking. I don't know what you all think. Even 2 drivers that are outside the bubble that could win at Daytona or something.
I think the 23 needs to break out that Warthog paint scheme because
The Air Force.
I
car,
think
yeah.
that thing's going to be coming like Jaws. Let me tell you.
Oh yeah. Great tracks
No,
are coming up.
but in all honesty, the one I'm worried about, which is kind of funny considering he's, the second best to the good here, is Ty Gibbs.
100%.
Because whatever was going on with their equipment, they better have fixed it in these last 2 weeks because consistently having mechanical issues while running well. If he finished the way he was running in those races, like Pocono, if he had finished the way he was running,
he'd be fine.
He'd be fine. He'd be above Truex probably, but yeah. So he's the one I'm actually most concerned about.
I mean, as a reminder too, with the engine issues, it hasn't just been Ty Gibbs the past 4 races. It's also been in the Xfinity Series with Chandler Smith and Sheldon Creed. Engine issues there from Chicago, Pocono, all these things in between.
I forgot about that. You're right.
Yeah, so it's plagued those 3 drivers in particular the past few weeks, and then they had who was in at Chicago. They had another entry, I believe, that also had an engine issue. It's not crossing my mind at the moment. I digress. But yeah, they've had engine issues the past few weeks, and the hope is that during these off weeks, they fixed it, because this point in the season, when a playoff spot is on the line, I would hate, again, for Ty Gibbs to be just one spot out of the playoffs by just a few points like he was last year. Yeah. I would hate that for him.
I really hope nobody from the outside wins, to be honest. Because I feel like we already have, looking at this list, we already have a solid 3 drivers
100%.
in this playoff picture that are locked in that shouldn't be locked in.
I agree. I come at it with the fact that it's this is the format that NASCAR has made. You win and you're in. We have to respect that. But I also look at it as, all right, well, Daniel Suarez, for instance, he's very talented driver. Obviously, he's won not only in the NASCAR Cup Series, but in other NASCAR sanctioned series as well. I mean, he's an incredible driver. But when it comes to Trackhouse's performance this year, it doesn't scream championship caliber. And his win at Atlanta and not really doing anything since then, to me, doesn't warrant a playoff spot. But you win and you're in. Same thing with Austin Cindric. He's been MIA this season. Wins at Gateway? Yeah. So. There's a few drivers in there, I agree with you, Rob, that are going to be probably first round exits, or they could shock us. And I think we were spoiled last year because I think every driver, even Stenhouse, who was in the playoffs, could have made it past that first round.
Yeah.
With their performance.
Last year was a really
rare so lucky
year of having everybody there was regularly at least top 16 equipment.
Yeah.
Even the 47.
Yeah, 100%.
I think looking at the grid right now, while I can see 20th through 24th, and maybe even Stenhouse too, being a surprise.
Yeah.
Just say winning Daytona. Kyle Busch if he is irrelevant at Richmond, it's over.
Yeah.
Doesn't need to crash out. If he's just irrelevant at Richmond, it's over. He will not make the playoffs.
Yeah.
He has a good run. I have hope for them that maybe they can turn it around, but if he's irrelevant at Richmond, it's over.
Well, we really gotta hope that Colorado cares about on-track performance, which my hopes are low for that.
Will say this isn't really a hot take. This is just my personal feelings, so take it or leave it. I like Kyle Busch a lot. He's one of the most talented drivers of the generation. He's unfortunately had a rough couple years. This season's been trash, to put that nicely as I can. I don't want him to get in the playoffs this year. And I hate to say that, but I don't want to see it. I don't think his team has earned it. They're not in a spot to get him past the first round. I think it's unnecessary pressure, or just it doesn't feel right to have him in the playoffs this year. It's do what you can and go.
More than Kyle Busch.
100%. 100%. I would go to say Gragson deserves it more than Kyle Busch.
Right now, there are no Stewart Haas cars in the playoff picture right now, and that makes me sad.
I mean, it makes sense given the performance. But I'll say this. I think, and this is not going to happen. I guess this kind of takes us back to the speculation of who Michael McDowell's teammate's going to be next year. But I'm
following you.
But I think the most beneficial thing to do in the off season is to do a driver swap with Spire and RCR. Put Kyle in the 7 and put Corey LaJoie in the 8, because Kyle Busch deserves to run with Spire, a team that is on the rise and clearly is worried about the future and becoming a contender. And Corey LaJoie deserves to drive for RCR.
I don't dislike, because I've seen other people say like, oh, like Spire can just buy Kyle Busch out of his contract and done deal. I'm like, they have an alliance there though, so you'd have to do it the right way. But Kyle said if there's an opportunity out there and it can work, he's gonna take it, because he knows the performance, like the equipment he's getting does not match, I think, the performance that he could potentially gain. Or maybe it's just some of it's Kyle at this point too, and you just got to be honest with it.
Well, I mean, you look at the two cars, you've got Kyle Busch 19th in the points, and his teammate is 32nd.
Right. So Kyle can do more with equipment. It's just he's not getting the equipment he needs.
Yeah. Watch Kyle in the Truck Series.
Kyle does phenomenal.
And I know you're like it's comparative to, you know, the people that race in the
right.
Yeah, but also he's driving in the Truck Series like he was driving when he won all those Cup races.
Yeah.
So like, while, you know, he's racing against a lot, you know, younger talent, he's been doing that for how long? Like, right. I think that's still a positive indicator of you know, he's still got it. He still got it. He just needs the equipment to match him, which has not happened this year.
The equipment and I think the team infrastructure, quite honestly. It's
100%.
Yeah. So there's that. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out where we were at. Oh, yeah. Let's talk about Richmond. We kind of got into it a little bit with the playoff picture, etc. And these are really great tracks coming up for Bubba Wallace, Chris Buescher, Martin Truex Jr. Ben, for your sake, I hope Truex can get a win before the playoffs hit. I think he'll be okay, knocking on wood, just because I don't want to jinx myself. But I think he'll be fine. Thank you, everybody. But I really want to see him get a win, because, you know, he deserves it. He's done so well this year. So
yeah, he's the one. I mean, and the point standings speak for itself, but he's the one that is on there that doesn't have a win that should.
Yeah, 100%. But with the on-track action this weekend, FYI, everything scheduled for Saturday and Sunday is still going on as planned. Practice and qualifying for the Truck Series starts at 2:35 Eastern, and then practice and qualifying for Cup is after that at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, and then the truck race is at 7 that night, and then Sunday Cup starts at 6. Remember, it is a night race. We have an optional tire, your optional tire, your normal tire, and then wet weather tire. And NASCAR did today change how they are officiating or how they're dealing with the wet weather tire situation. Essentially, the teams now can choose when they get to change out their tires without going into detail on it, really. It's just now the teams have more of a choice, or have the choice, as opposed to NASCAR mandating when they can and can't, which major win for NASCAR. Not just officiating wise, but just rules wise. It makes sense. The teams at this point have had so many reps on the wet weather tires this year. It's about time. So kudos to NASCAR on that. With that said, though, let's do our top 10 preview. Hold on, my slides. I want to get on the right slides. Sorry, guys. Hold on. Hold on.
Do it.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. All right. Well, again, just to preface, this is all stats pulled from the second Richmond race each year. I know they run Richmond twice a year. They've been running Richmond twice a year for probably 3 decades now. So this is for the second Richmond race, all the stats that I'm about to present. The only exceptions are Josh Berry and a couple other people that have only run the spring race. And I also include the 2020 Richmond race in this stat list as well, because that was ran in the fall as a playoff race. So I have this one included for the following stats. And I know right out of the gate, we're very generous to RCR, and that is because Kyle Busch was killer there at Joe Gibbs Racing. So a second place finish would be a dream come true for that team. But if he's not driving a Toyota Camry with a number 18 on the side when he unloads, I don't think it's happening. But anyways, here's his stats while we're on the topic of him. I've got him second on the board. He won in 2018 in the fall, has a pole position, has completed more laps than any other active driver, 7,610 in the fall race alone. Ton of laps run, has no DNFs, which helps him out a lot. And then has 8 top 5s and 6 top 10s, which I think the 6 top 10s is the most in our top 10. It is. Yeah. So 6 top 10s is the most among the top 10 drivers. But top of the board is Denny Hamlin, and that should not come as a surprise. He's a native of Chesterfield, Virginia. It's one of his 2 home tracks, but he really, really puts everything into this racetrack.
Won the race in the spring as well.
Yep. Won the race in the spring. Good point. Has 3 wins in the fall race alone, 2009 and 2010. And then in 2016, when JGR was celebrating their 25th anniversary, that's the most of the active drivers. Has 2 pole positions, which is tied for most. Has the most laps led, has led 1,279 laps in the fall alone.
My gosh.
Has led the most laps 4 different times, which is tied for the most, and also has no DNFs. And he's been running this race since 2006. To give you an idea of how good he is. 9 top 5s to go along with those wins, which is the most of the active drivers in the top 10, and 3 top 10s. So, yeah, the stats scream Denny Hamlin, and the way they ran in the spring, why wouldn't you bet Denny Hamlin for this race? But we'll see. I believe Truex is still the most recent person to sweep the Richmond races in 2019. I don't think it's been done since. No, it hasn't. So, yeah, I think Denny is a good bet to do it. Just mentioned Martin Truex Jr. I'll jump around here. He's 5th on the board. Looking right at you, Ben. He's 5th on the board. He has 2 wins in 2019 and 2021, 5 top 5s, 3 top 10s. He has a DNF in there. Let me see. He has 3 DNFs, which is what dropped him down to 5th on the board. But again, he's up there in laps completed. He's going to get 7,000 laps completed this weekend. So kudos to him for that amount of laps run at Richmond in the fall alone. Has led the most laps 3 times, right behind Denny. 774 laps led. Has not won pole position, but has an average finish of 16.2, which isn't the best among the others. I think also kind of set him back a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
3rd on the board is Kyle Larson. Now, Larson and Hamlin are the only 2 drivers that have average starts and finishes of single digits. So Kyle Larson is another really, really good pick here. Has the best average start of 7th, 7 even. Has a win in 2017 driving for Ganassi. 2 pole positions, again, tied for the most. No DNFs, 2 top 5s, 3 top 10s. But again, he's been running since 2014, so a handful of less races compared to Hamlin. That obviously gains the advantage for Denny. More races, more chances to do well. But Larson, I mean, every racetrack we go to, Larson's a threat. So keep an eye out on the 5 car. He also started on pole in the spring race. So he can definitely do it this weekend. Brad Keselowski really definitely could have won this race last year. His teammate did, who is not in this top 10. We'll get to Chris Buescher in a moment. But, yeah, Brad Keselowski is really good at Richmond too, especially in the fall. Has 2 wins in 2014 where he led 383 of 400 laps. Absolutely smoked the field in 2014 and then did it again in 2020. Has 2 pole positions, has led the most laps 4 times, tied with Denny. Looking at how many laps he's led, 984. So, yeah, he is very, very good at Richmond, and has 1 DNF. That might have been the thing that put Larson above him, and has 4 top 5s, 4 top 10s. So the lucky number is 4 for Brad Keselowski this weekend. NASCAR's most popular driver, Chase Elliott, in that beautiful Coca-Cola car. He is 6th on the board. Not really a lot of stats to pull from him because he's only been running there since 2016, but does have 4 top 5s and a top 10. So he's very consistent there, has an average finishing position. I was on the wrong spot. Has an average finishing position of 9.1. So that's really good. Chase is very consistent at this racetrack, has 95 laps led, and has not DNF'd there. So credit where credit's due. Chase is going to be very good this weekend. Joey Logano has won twice at Richmond, but that was both times in the spring. He has not won the fall race there. He has 1 pole position, 6 top 5s, 3 top 10s. So he's pretty consistent at Richmond, a track that he used to say wasn't one of his favorites. But he gets around there fairly well. Seeing how they performed at North Wilkesboro, at Gateway, at Iowa, their short track package is solid. So maybe the sun shines on Logano on Sunday, but we'll see.
Maybe.
Yeah, Austin Dillon's on here, and I honestly don't know why. the numbers crunch to Austin Dillon.
Yeah, when you gave me these stats, I was like, all right.
Let's just
he's had some sneaky good runs.
Yeah.
So he has no DNFs, has a top 5 and a top 10. He will have his 4,000th completed lap this weekend. Has led 55 laps. His best starting spot is 3rd. His best finishing spot is 4th. Has an average start of 17.3, an average finish of 14.9. So he betters his spot. But yeah, thanks for playing, Austin. Anyway, Tyler Reddick is 9th on the board. This is a more realistic one.
Yeah.
And he's 9th on the board here. I know he's very good, but he's 9th on the board because of limited starts. Has a pole position and no DNFs. But if I look here, average start 15th, average finish 18.2, which is the same as Ryan Blaney, who's in 10th, our defending champion. But looking at his numbers here is a really good, I think his detriment at Richmond in the fall, good qualifier, bad at finishing the race. 22, 11, 26, and 1. So kind of back and forth in qualifying. But finishes 11th, 15th, 31st, 16th. So no top 10s yet for Reddick. But, I mean, 23-11 has really been kicking butt with that 45 car recently. So I think he's going to be in for a good finish. And then lastly, our defending champion, Ryan Blaney from Hartford, Ohio. He has no DNFs, 2 top 10s. Looking at his averages, same as Reddick. Average finish 18.2, but again, a good qualifier average start 13.9. You see here on laps led. So here's a good bonus for Reddick. 81 laps led in the fall. Only 3 laps led for Blaney. But again, no DNFs for him. He's got 3,000 laps completed compared to Reddick's 1,500. But that is what we have for the top 10. Our defending race winner, Chris Buescher, is 11th, just outside the top 10. If we look at his finishes other than 2023, in 22 he had a 3rd, and then every one of those after that is outside the top 20. So that was his detriment. But looking at laps led for him, he has 88 laps led, not too bad. And then our other stat leaders, because I included Josh Berry's 2 spring starts, he has the best average finish of 6.5.
Okay.
I was going to say, it's got to be something high.
Yeah.
Even 11th. If you want to swap anyone in this top 10 out, the 8th place, I would put Josh Berry in that spot.
You wouldn't put Bell?
So let me pull Bell. Let me pull Bell's.
Yeah, that was one I was going to ask you about.
That's a surprising one to me.
Christopher Bell is 13th. He has finishes of 15th, 3rd, 2nd, and 20th. I think I know what his detriments are. No, he has no DNFs. 1,500 laps completed, 10 laps led.
His also, like Reddick, might just be.
You know what it could be?
He hasn't run enough.
Average. It's that lack of starts and an average start of 21.5.
That tracks.
That might be something to do with their best starting spot 10th, best finish 2nd. I think that's his only detriment is his average start. Bell's a good one too. That's a good point.
Yeah.
But again,
well, and I think Buescher's issue too is he had those years at JTG in front row, so you're not running top 20 equipment.
And I need to be fair too. That it's the same story for Alex Bowman and Michael McDowell.
Yeah,
started out with really bad equipment because Michael McDowell's number 1 on our board for DNFs. He has 5. And I think he had 3 or 4 in a row, and that was driving for Phil Parsons Racing. who they were just showing up
Yeah.
to get the paycheck for running the race. So I really don't put that on them because McDowell's finishes, he's got a couple top 15s in there. More recently, he hasn't been the best there, so it's a little bit more justified on that end. But again, the 5 DNFs I don't hold over his head.
100%. All
And
right.
then looking at some other of our playoff contenders, Ty Gibbs is 24th, but that's lack of starts. That's purely lack of starts. Same goes for Noah Gregson, Todd Gilliland. Eric Jones is 21st, and I feel like that just makes sense.
Yeah.
Richmond really isn't one of his best tracks. He wasn't very good there in Xfinity or just Xfinity anyway. So I know.
What about Wallace?
So Bubba Wallace is 18th. He is 18th. Has been qualifying better. 11th and 5th are his last 2 starts. And his finishes, his last 2 finishes have been top 15s, but has a 32nd in there, a 27th and a 26th. That goes against him. But I've got him 18th on the board. He's got 80 laps led, so that helps too.
Yeah.
Last fall should have been a lot better than it was.
100%.
Yeah.
So again, a lot of it, like, you can weed through this, who you want to pick or not. Like, I can fully respect not picking Kyle Busch in your fantasy lineup, or if you're betting on the race. I can fully respect that. It's just if he was in the 18 car, I would throw everything at that pick. But that's just not the case now. And Austin Dillon, he's been running the Cup Series since 2014. He's got a lot of starts there, and to not have any DNFs there, there's something to be said about that.
Yeah, 100%. Cool.
Track as aggressive as Richmond.
Yeah, I would say be wary of the RCR cars this weekend in your fantasy lineups, but I think the rest of the
better hope they've made an absolute 180.
Yes.
Off weeks.
Yeah. It's a good time to reset, take a vacation, but also to really turn the ship around. So that's the hope for RCR. I did want to give some love.
They can do it too.
True. Give some love to the Truck Series. Connor Hall, he is the Cars Tour points leader. He will be making his debut in Truck. Last year's winner at Richmond in the summer for the Truck Series was Carson Hocevar. But Ty Majeski finished second. Ty Majeski also just won the last race that the Truck Series did, so maybe he could go, back to back, winning one weekend and then winning the next. So
they've been knocking on the door all year, that 98 team.
They really have been.
They were overdue for that win. They were already clinched in the playoffs on points.
He's fantastic at the short tracks too. He almost won Martinsville.
Yep.
Earlier this year, so it was a close one.
Bristol. So yeah, he's solid.
Yeah. So he would be my favorite to go into this weekend. The one piece of news we didn't talk about that I was debating not bringing up, but I'm going to because why not? The tentative 2025 playoff schedule was, I guess, published by The Athletic. So it's not official by NASCAR. It's not confirmed, but based off of their sources, what they know. They put out a tentative schedule. I need to share my screen so you all can see what I'm talking about. But the one thing that kind of has people up in arms right now is Talladega potentially in the round of 8. Dom had a really good opinion about this that he texted in our group chat. So, Dom, I'll let you kind of start off with the opinion on this. And then if we want to kind of fill in from there, we can. But
I don't remember my opinion.
It was the way you worded it. It was you just said like a last chance race, but that's not what you called it. I don't even know. You didn't use the word wild card either. Maybe you did, but basically it was like a wild card race to determine a championship, essentially.
Yeah.
How you worded it.
Well, I wish I did know what I said, because I feel really bad now that I don't. But
I just remember I liked how you worded the comment. I was like, oh, okay. But
I'm about to go scroll through the chat to find that. But I will say that the only reason why this lineup makes sense, if it is true, is that date slot has been Talladega's for a while.
Yeah.
That they've always been mid to late October. So that justifies the location, because they've always been in that area. But I don't know.
Yeah, that's what
I
scares
don't know if I like
me.
that.
Yeah, Ben.
Talladega being a championship clincher is a very dangerous game in a literal life-threatening sense. The way these cars are built, Tom.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thanks,
I was just gonna
Ben.
go dig for it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me go here. Yeah. This
coming
is a
clutch.
dangerous game.
Yeah.
This is a really dangerous game. I was just thinking about Daytona last year, and that was the last race to make the playoffs, and it was so highly publicized because it was Chase Elliott's last chance to make the playoffs. And aside from Preece and Blaney, it was a fairly solid race, fairly clean. But in turn, Preece had a violent flip. Blaney tore the fence down with his hit into the wall. Like, Talladega is larger and much more unforgiving than Daytona. And now
The stakes are so much higher.
You are genuinely putting a championship on the line at Talladega. And like, I know everyone, including myself, loves watching the moon car races where they just go as hard as they can into the final lap. Anything goes, no holds barred, and all kinds of crazy stuff happens, big crashes and stuff. But like, this race car has not been very kind to the people occupying the cars. This is a really dangerous game.
Yeah.
I think if you're going to do this, Sorry, Taylor, I did not mean to interrupt you.
Go for it. Go for it.
If you want that level of wild card in the round of 8, put Atlanta in there.
It feels just as bad.
I think that's the no-brainer.
Yeah. And I saw some comments on this.
I hate to see somebody get...
The way Atlanta drives is a little more forgiving because they have to fall in line more at Atlanta. Because
the thing is Atlanta.
Go ahead.
Atlanta drives like an old super speedway.
Yeah, yeah. My point. Perfect. Yeah, it's more forgiving in the fact that like you have to be gracious to the people you're racing around, because
exactly
you'll take everybody out.
Like nobody really, I mean, I'm sure they did, and I was just too young to hear it, but like nobody really said anything about Talladega being in the chase in 2005 because the racing there was different. You had to fall in line. You could break away. Even if you go back as far as like, the early 2010s, it's kind of the same thing. I think the 2-car tandem, like how far Boyer and Burton were out front at the end of that race.
Oh my
God. The way, and I have not been, quiet about how the current state of super speedway racing is something that not only do I dislike, but I'm terrified of. I think it started with 2019 Daytona. I think that was this. If I think back to that was the start of it. The massive wreck that took out basically the entire field, and then you had the chaos of that Talladega race, followed by Newman's wreck at Daytona. And I feel like ever since then, every super speedway race has had me terrified. It's like for me, it's not enjoyable. Like I'd rather them just go do it on iRacing, and not even go to the track. But I get entertainment wise why you do it.
Well,
I get.
Ben brings up a good point in the chat. He says when we were in the chase, when you had it was one of 10 races. This is one of 3 or
Excellent
4
point.
in 4 rounds. Like
Excellent point, Ben.
That's the thing.
Excellent point.
You're basically saying at this point, and we're all pretty clear. Super speedway racing takes a certain amount of skill. Denny Hamlin wouldn't win the Daytona 500 as many times as he had without skill involved in some capacity, but it also takes an insane amount of luck. And when we're in an era where it's you win and you're in, and you feel the championship isn't as legitimate as it used to be because all you got to do was just like skirt on by, points reset, you're good to go. Having a chance or luck race in the round of 8 to get and determine probably the championship 4 right there, regardless of how your season's gone up to that point in the round of 8, it feels gimmicky. But I will say, as a positive, instead of having Talladega in the round of 16 or 12, when, let's say, for instance, we were talking about Daniel Suarez and Austin Cindric, we don't feel like they should make it to the round of 12. It doesn't give them the chance, or drivers that haven't had that good of a season, to move on with a by chance win. It's the round of 8. There should be the 8 best drivers fighting for that championship 4. At that point, it should all make sense. Those drivers should make sense going for a championship. So in that case, fine, but it's still hella dangerous. I hate it.
I get it. The thing about it though is, the win is an automatic bid,
right?
But you still score points in the stages, and so say they're coming to let's say it's Christopher Bell and I don't know, Joey Logano. Sorry, Dom, he's going to be in this scenario. Just say those two are in the round of 8.
I don't like how you're apologizing. I feel like this ends bad for you.
This ends bad.
Accident. Let's say you're coming to the end of stage 1. Everybody's jockeying to get those points.
Yeah. And
it's up. You're battling for the stage win. It's Logano and Bell. Bell's leading, and Logano pulls a 2009 Keselowski.
Oh.
All of a sudden, maybe not that bad, but like
I was gonna say that's
he doesn't go airborne, but I'm thinking just like in the tri-oval, hooks Bell's out of the race, scores 1 point.
Yeah.
Are you going to recover from that at Martinsville? Not unless you win.
That's a good point too. That's one thing I didn't think about, is there's a lot of chances to wreck somebody's chance of making it to the championship 4 with it. I'm so glad it's not a race at the end of a round, but I'd rather it's going to be in the round of 8.
It used to be.
Which sucks, and it shouldn't.
It's bad enough. It's bad enough the Roval. It's bad enough the Roval is a cutoff race.
Oh my god, yeah.
Luckily, the Roval has gotten increasingly boring over the last couple of years, which is an issue in and of itself. But that's my main issue with this. I like the idea of a playoff format, but if you're asking me, if you're going to do a 4-round playoff system, first round 1, 2 races, rounds 2 and 3, 3 races, make that championship round 4 races.
Actually,
so
I don't like that.
You build it up like the World Series, or you build it up like the Stanley Cup, or you build it up like the NBA playoffs. Any playoff format that has multiple contests within each round, and that's essentially what we're doing here. And the fact that it all comes down to one race, we're kind of steering away from the conversation at Talladega at that point. But it's
100%.
It's a flawed system that could be easily fixed, and I think
yeah,
would improve and more legitimize a championship than
yeah, the line between
Blaney, but
fair. I mean, but the line between entertainment and like legit competition is getting crossed, and I think the wrong way. So I'd like for NASCAR to steer the ship in the right direction. But until then, before we say our goodbyes for the live stream, ending on a positive, what is one thing you guys are looking forward to for the rest of this season? Anyone? Rob, do you want to start?
Yeah, I know I came at us tonight with like a lot of just pessimism and negativity, but I'm just glad that we're getting racing back. No. I wouldn't consider this a negative. It's just a qualm. and it's a qualm that I feel like is not a secret. But I am legitimately just happy that racing's back, or that the top 3 divisions are back. I'm really excited for the Truck Series playoffs, and you guys will
That'll be fun.
find out why I'm so excited for the Truck Series playoffs in
due
the
time.
coming
In
week
due
or so.
time. Oh, so excited. Ben?
I don't really know. I don't really have anything to be excited for in a lot of ways.
Oh.
Did you guys get any of that?
Well.
TJ.
Oh.
Oh, he's gone.
No. Oh God. I guess Rip Rob. I don't know. But I mean, aren't you going to be at the Roval? Maybe. Potentially.
Maybe we'll see. There's a lot that's happening in the fall for me in general, so I don't know. Like,
that is fair.
so
That's
just
fair.
not a lot to kind of look forward to right now. Just kind of getting through the rest of the year. So
That's fair. That's
Welcome
fair.
back.
Welcome back.
Did you get any of that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, because I don't know why I'm the one with crappy connectivity when I'm not in the middle of a hurricane.
Yeah.
So
Alright.
seriously though, did you get what
Yes.
I said?
Yeah.
yes,
Yes.
we got you.
We got you.
Okay.
100%. 100%.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Well, Dom, what about you?
I mean, not to be biased, but I'm looking forward to MIS, Watkins Glen, and Kansas.
So jealous.
I think
So
those are going to be. I think those are going to be. I mean, honestly, if I'm being perfectly honest, I can't wait to go back to Kansas because they've gone to the plate 3 times and hit 3 home runs. So it's been so much fun going there. I just love that track so much. But no, I'm excited to see how it all plays out. I think the variables for Richmond this weekend are just too exciting
Ooh.
to be true. You know what I mean? Like we could see 3 different tire compounds this weekend. rain,
excited.
option in the prime. So it's just I'm excited to see how that all plays out. I thought Richmond in the spring proved that the wet tire works
It
to
was
dry
so
a
good there.
racetrack.
Yeah.
So that was good to see that it actually does work. It can dry the racetrack and then we can keep going. I'm looking forward to seeing if Joey can keep his even number streak on. So we'll see if he does that. Not looking too great if I'm being honest, but hey, listen, if he proved anything in 2018, it's that you just got to play the system.
Yeah.
Hey, listen,
Fair.
we played the system and we got a title out of it. So
There you
it's
Sorry,
all
Ben.
right. It all worked.
Yeah.
Listen, Ben's team kicked butt in 2017. So
This is
he
facts.
got his title. Ben, I
Oh.
absolutely love you.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Lots of exciting stuff the rest of the year. I'll be going to Darlington for the first time at the end of this month. So looking forward to that. But yeah.
Awesome track.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. So will be a fun rest of the regular season and the playoffs and everything in between. Yeah, should be a fun time. But that does it for our live stream tonight. I don't know where my PowerPoint went. I'm kind of sad about it. I'm not
This
going
is
to
all
lie
you
to
need.
you. That's you know what? That's all we need. You all know our social media handles already. You know literally everything. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, everything. Ben is birding the spiders. We're just, yeah, this is us. This is all of us. But thank you all so much for joining the stream. Again, Richmond this weekend for Truck and Cups. Make sure to watch that. Thank you again to Connor Zilisch for joining us earlier in the show. We really appreciate him taking the time to talk to us about his career, his endeavors, etc. So yeah, it was a really fun time. Next week, we will have Ryan Roulette on the show. The week after that, we have Ryan Vargas, and then our friends from Goat Locker Racing are going to stop by at some point as well in the next 2 weeks and chat about their upcoming season. So we have a busy August for you with content. So make sure to follow us. Links in the description where you can find us all. Thank you all so much from myself, Dom, Ben, and Rob, and even Adam. We miss you, Adam, but